CNN staffers are reportedly concerned over Paramount potentially taking over Warner Brothers Discovery.
Last Thursday, Netflix pulled out of the bidding war for Warner Brothers after Warner said Paramount's bid was, quote, superior. News outlet Variety writes in part, CNN employees are, quote, devastated by the news of the Paramount deal, says one of these people. Quote, no one is happy, says a second. There's a palpable dread among staffers, these people say. And NBC News reported a similar sentiment describing the situation in part. Quote, one CNN journalist who regularly appears on air described Netflix pullback as shocking. The journalist said they believe some staffers would head for exits if faced with the prospect of working for David Ellison or CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss, whom Ellison hired to, quote, invigorate the storied network news division.
Of course, many on the left have lamented Weiss being installed as editor-in-chief of CBS, saying she has right-of-center views and is adamantly pro-Israel. Oh no, not that. Paramount offered to buy Warner Brothers for $31 per share, total value being $111 billion, including debt. Netflix declined to raise its proposal, and its co-CEO said in a statement at the time, we believe we would have been strong stewards of Warner Brothers' iconic brands. Netflix's co-CEOs Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters said in a joint statement, but this transaction was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price.
That quote was always my favorite because Netflix was like, it's like if you're dating somebody, you're like, oh, I liked you, but it wasn't that serious. Okay, so I'll start from the part that makes me sad. I was excited to see how Netflix runs a media entity this way. We've seen how it's run by traditional outlets that have existed in this capacity for years. Netflix has shaken up the game so much that the way that they would run a major news network or other things was really exciting to me to see. And I was excited about the potential of someone new or a new type of entity owning a new type of company. That likely is not happening. I think the other concerns from a lot of employees are just you're overlapping two similar companies. So eventually there's going to be tons of layoffs.
Well, that was going to happen either way.
But Netflix doesn't have the infrastructure already built in to have these things exist already. Like Warner Brothers already has a lot of this infrastructure. You don't need like two of the same things
Netflix
mirroring.
Owning the same thing as HBO would have been. I mean, it's another streaming. It was a very similar streaming service.
Yeah, I think HBO
would have been odd to me. But
maybe, but HBO. I loved HBO back in the day. It has changed a little bit, but it still is.
Service,
yeah, it's still strong. I think the news division part they didn't own one, and so it would be interesting to see what they do there. We kind of understand what David Ellison wants to do with his news-owned properties. We saw the transition through CBS. As I said on the show, I was interested to see what Barry Weiss would do because as a business executive and somebody who has shown growth in a time where news is slowly declining or rapidly, depending on how you look at it, she has built from the ground up something that mirrors what old journalism used to look like, is just allowing reporters to go out and cover stories that a variety of people care about and get consumers to read directly in your content. And so she brought that to Paramount and hopefully will enhance the newsroom. I know there's been a lot of criticism. People at CNN are like, well, if we have to report through some kind of lens, that kind of changes what we do here because we don't want that type of guidance. And some people would argue CBS already has that guidance.
This is all speculative at this point because we don't know that CNN is going to be put under Barry Weiss's purview. It's CNN and CBS are kind of competing. Like what kind of consolidation? Maybe consolidation is appropriate because people are not watching TV in the same way. They're getting most of their news and information from YouTube, from streaming, from social media. So maybe legacy media brands do need to consolidate in order to stay relevant in the way that, BuzzFeed and Huffington Post both used to be huge sources of news and web traffic during the 2010s, and then due to changes in Facebook's algorithm and other things, that's not a viable business model, and they had to merge, and they're still not doing well. So this is just what happens. This was a financial decision. Netflix wanted to acquire it, was not willing to acquire it at that price. If it had been government pressure, because the Ellisons are closer to Trump, even though he got mad at them recently, then that would be bad, but it sounds like it's a corporate thing. That's a better deal, and so that's what they're going with. And so what can I say, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. A lot of regulation they're going to have to push through.
Yeah.
And I'm also still sad about Netflix. I think they just would have done a cooler. At the very least, they would have made news a little cooler.
You ever forget which thing is on? Like we're watching Mad Men right now, and I was looking for a Netflix, and I'm like, no wait, I'm watching on HBO. You forget these things.
Yeah, a lot.
Anyway, that does it for us on Rising Live. Thanks so much for paying attention, for watching, for being with us, and look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow. See you then.